I figured I would record this so I can share it with anyone for whom it might be helpful in this next week while I'm gone. I'm just going to run through deploying the no-go contracts, the two no-go contracts, where to get them and kind of the process and everything. So just so we know, in the node governance main repo, if you go into this no-go backend repository, this contracts directory here, this is where you can find everything related to this. It includes the two contracts here. And then it has this deployment README, which essentially is going to outline everything that I'm about to walk through here. It has it all documented in text, but I figured I'd make this video just so you can see everything and get familiar, and I can mention a few things along the way, kind of show you where they are and everything. So I've gone ahead and gotten to this point, but what you're essentially going to do is you're going to go to Remix. The link to it is in that README. You're going to create a new workspace. You're going to click that, and you're just going to click like a blank workspace. It's going to give you that option. So choose a blank one, and then you're just going to create a new directory called contracts. And then, but you're going to do that by clicking this create new folder. And then you're going to create two new files, one called globalvoting.sol, one called node ownership.sol. And you're just going to copy each of these smart contracts code into each of those files respectively. Once you've pasted them in here, you're going to go over to this tab here. Make sure that your compiler version is set to 0.8.18 here. And then when you're in these windows, you can do Command S. That's what I did right now. Then click on this tab and do Command S. You get these open in the tab just by, when you copy and paste them, you'll have them, but when you click on each smart contract, it'll open here, and then you can just do Command S. Command S, assuming there's no issues and you have everything configured correctly, you'll get this green check mark here indicating that the compilation was successful. Then we are going to go ahead and go into this little guy here. It'll usually be initially set to something like this, Remix VM Shanghai. That's this virtual blockchain sort of thing that's inherent to Remix that you can deploy, and it gives you some gas and everything. We are instead going to choose injected provider MetaMask here. And we are going to make sure that our MetaMask is set on the right network. So, make sure that you're on the Nerdcore testnet. And then you'll be connected with whatever, account you want here. I'm going to go on this account that many people have access to, this 9431. And sometimes it takes Remix a second to sort of like catch up. It's a little slow. It'll do this little like thinking thing. Once it like shows that you have some sort of ether, it's still showing ether as we can see here, it popped up that I have 71. That's just the native token. Once you can see that you have your amount, you're good to go to proceed with this process. And this is the process for deploying these. So first, I'm going to deploy the node ownership contract, and I'm just going to select that from this drop-down menu. They should both be here after you've compiled them. And then I'm just going to click deploy. And then Remix is going to tell me to confirm that. I'll confirm. Um, you can also have our Block Explorer open in another tab to make sure that everything, went through. We can see that contract successfully went through. Cool. Then what we're going to do is we're going to click this little thing here. This will copy the address of that contract that I just deployed, this node ownership one. And then we're going to select global voting, and we're going to pass that contract that we just entered as a constructor parameter. This is the node ownership contract, and we are going to click deploy for this global voting contract. What this is going to do, it's going to link the global voting contract to that node ownership contract. We can see it was deployed here, so we can see that was successful. And then sort of like the last thing we're going to do, like as far as just basic deployment, we are going to copy this global voting smart contract. We're going to click this drop-down menu. These are all of the functions here that we can call on the node ownership contract. That's why Remix is great. It makes it really easy to call these functions and test them and things. But the one we're going to call is this set global voting contract address function here. And we enter the parameters here. So we're just going to enter the parameter for that global voting contract that we copy here. We are going to paste it here and then just click this orange button. Just so we know, whichever address you're using to deploy these contracts, you need to be using that address to call these functions because they are admin only functions. Confirm. And once this goes through, we can see every time we see like a green check mark down here, it's like a successful function call or something, or a successful deployment. So we can see that successfully went through. We can verify it by there is a global voting contract address. So what we have in Remix, all of these orange functions are ones that you have to pay gas for in order to call. They are going to change the state of the blockchain. This red one, it's the only red one. That's one that you actually have to pay money along with to call. That's the submit proposal one. We have to make that payment. It also will change the state of the blockchain. All of these blue ones, those are just read functions. So it's just reading data from the blockchain, not updating the state. They're free to call. So we can call this a global voting contract address, and we will get that address that we just entered there. So these contracts are live and they're, bare bones contracts without any information on them, but they're linked together, good to go. So let's go ahead and add some things to them. I'm going to go through sort of my usual process. This is sort of like the tedious way of doing it, and maybe I will just correctly structure an array here so that someone can just copy and paste it and it'll get all set up. That's what the deployment script actually does. But right now, usually I'll just go one by one and add users. So I can click this drop down thing here, and these are all the parameters that need to get passed for add users. So let's start adding some users here. Let's find, we've got this here. Let's go ahead and add Brian first. We'll add his two wallet addresses, these two as voters, and then we'll add this top one as an approver just to see how that goes. So gonna click or paste the address there. I always just say false as a founder. We'll just do one light node and 0 smart nodes to keep it simple. Again, this function can only be called by that admin or whichever address that you deployed these contracts with. So we're gonna click transact. And there we go. Cool. So that went through. It's pretty simple. I can share this CSV so everyone has this also. But yeah, so and then adding another one is as simple as, just changing the address, clicking transact. And you don't want to rush all of these. You want to make sure that you get the green. So it's pending right now. You want to make sure you get that green check mark here before calling more functions. Otherwise, you'll really back up and clog up Remix it, and it'll freeze up on you. It won't work. So let's go ahead and add this address as an approver. So we're just going to use this set approver function. It just takes one single address as a parameter. I'm going to call that. And now, Brian has two voting addresses and one approver address on this suite of smart contracts. And, we can confirm over here, the approvers count is now 1. if we see the 0th index one, we'll see this is on the global voting contract. So we call those functions on the node ownership contract. It communicates with the global voting contract and, sets all of that stuff up. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that you guys would need. I mean, I encourage anyone to start messing around with this. I added 2 people, so now we can see all users length is 2. There's 2 people. We can check them by index to get their address. That's one of Brian's addresses. The admin is going to be that 0x943 that I deployed these with. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that you'll need to do for these. While I've got this video going, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should show. Actually, yeah. So one other thing. So say you just want to access contracts that are already live. Let's see how that looks. So, ideally you'll want to like copy these and save them somewhere. I usually just kind of keep like the most recent ones uh documented at the bottom here. So, you can just kind of like paste them here and let me paste this one just so I have it too. Save that. So here, I'm going to refresh this. Now, let's say like you want to, so I deployed all those and everything. Oh man, I forgot to add one of this address, or I forgot to add this person as an approver. I'm going to show you how, so you go back to Remix, like you accidentally closed it out and you lost those deployed contracts. Here's how you can access those already deployed contracts and interact with them. So once you initially have those contracts saved and everything, you can just revisit the workspace. I call it voting ownership interop. That's just kind of what it was called when I started making those interoperable. But we'll have our contracts here, so we can open them. Always go here, make sure we're on the correct compiler. Once you use that compiler, it'll usually pop back up with that one. It'll remember it. So, let's go ahead, Command S again. And they're both compiled successfully. Then we're going to go back to this, like deployment thing. Remember, we're going to choose injected provider as our environment. That's MetaMask. It's syncing. Okay. We're successful. So yeah, we want to go back to those contracts that we just deployed and interact with them. And we can either, let's say we forgot to save the contract addresses. We can even just go back to our file explorer and grab them from here. This is the node ownership one, which was deployed first. Here's the global voting. These are all the functions we called on it. But I've got them saved down here conveniently. So we can grab that, copy it, and then we can select node ownership contract. We can use this thing down here. We can pass the deployed the address of the contract that's already been deployed, and then just click this at address, and then we'll get access to it. Just that same contract that we just had. If we check the all users length again, we'll see that it's 2. So we're interacting with it exactly as we already did. So we can interact with contracts that are already deployed with Remix also. We'll do the same thing for global voting. We just select global voting here. We're going to pass that contract address, click add address, and then boom, we can check and see the approvers count is 1, and it's going to be that Brian's address here. So yeah, then, it's as simple as once you've got these contracts, you can just go to the front end repo and paste them in here and interact with them. But yeah, I'll share this in the public channel and I guess links to all that other stuff.